Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
Welcome back to the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm Michelle, and I'm so glad you're here. I am recording this episode with a very heavy heart for many reasons. I don't know if some of you might have read my post or watched my reel, but my father passed away a few weeks ago, and it's been very challenging for me and my family. As many of you know, he was my parenting partner. He was my go-to confidant when it came to the kids, and he really stepped up as a grandfather over the last 19 years. He embraced the ideas of connected parenting. He became almost better at it than myself, and he was the next best thing to a dad the girls could have. In fact, in Esme's speech for his memorial, she says that he was her surrogate father. I'm deeply saddened by what's happened. He had a 3-year battle with cancer, and he couldn't fight it hard enough. It was not enough. It overtook him, and he endured 3 years of long treatment. And it was a very, very hard time for our family, and a very, very hard time for him. And he was a vivacious, young 78-year-old man who went to Pilates and rode his bike and played golf. And his life was robbed of him from this terrible disease. And if any of you have endured the tragedy of cancer, you know how debilitating it can be for both the person and the family around them. So I am going to read a little tribute that I wrote for him that I am going to be saying at his memorial in a couple of weeks. So I wanted to just give you a little insight as to how I felt about my dad. Papa, as the girls lovingly called him, was a powerful presence. He was an extremely special human being. He was fun, funny, and fiercely determined. He lived his life with great purpose and clear intention. He was definitely a man with a plan. Chuck Kenny was a true Renaissance man. He could play the piano as well as he could bake a delicious homemade cherry pie. He read and arranged his own music, avidly played the piano, dabbled with the guitar, loved photography, was addicted to golf, enjoyed fly fishing and biking, water skiing, snow skiing, and in his later years became completely obsessed with Pilates. He even went daily during his cancer treatments, which truly showed his spirit. My dad was an incredibly determined person. If he set his mind to do something, absolutely nothing could stop him. I admired that so much about him. He was a powerhouse of a human being. At the same time, he was incredibly charming and loving, and he always made those around him feel comfortable and at ease. He would speak on almost any topic, and he had a genuine love for people, and that love was always easily returned. My dad was born in Hollywood and grew up in Inglewood, and his parents were two farmers from a small town in Iowa who moved to Los Angeles seeking a new life. He went to the University of Portland, where he met my mom, and they moved to Los Angeles, and he started his career at Haskins & Sells, a CPA firm downtown Los Angeles. Papa was genuinely liked by everyone he met. I honestly got used to hearing how cool my dad was from the guys who knew him, or from the ladies and even my friends. "Oh, your dad's so cute." He'd show up to my sorority on his Harley, wearing his leather chaps, and the sorority girls would mistake him for my older boyfriend. And it didn't stop there. Even when Esme started preschool, many of the moms mistook him for my husband. I quickly set them straight. As my sister and I talked to people after his passing, we heard so many stories about ladies who had crushes on Chuck Kenny. The ladies truly adored him, and he certainly loved them back. But he was equally, truly a man's man. He had a huge number of male friends he fished with, golfed with, and whom he had deep, meaningful conversations. He was a great confidant to many. Again, this often amused and sometimes well-plagued me. What became increasingly clear later in his life, however, was how he truly evolved into an ultimate family man. Late in 2005, I got a call from my dad. I was in my 3rd trimester with my first pregnancy. He said, "Michelle, I think I should move to Los Angeles and help you with the baby when she comes. When he said help, I was a bit confused. What exactly was the quintessential bachelor and man about town going to help me do with a newborn? Of course, I wanted him to come, so I immediately said yes. I figured 4 hands were better than 2, and since I didn't know what the hell I was doing, how bad could it possibly be? True to his determined nature, he genuinely was there to help. For the first 6 months, he came to the house every day at 8 a.m. and stayed until 8 p.m. He might not have known a thing about babies, but he cooked and he cleaned and he went to the market and he held the baby so I could shower. And he rocked that kid for hours. She was colicky and it was hard on both of us. And neither of us knew exactly what we were doing, but we figured it out together. I wish I could have those days back. I miss them so very much. During this exact same time, he stopped drinking cold turkey. He would go to his AA meetings every day on the Sunset Strip with all the young Hollywood hipsters, kids getting sober. Of course, they all adored him, and he became an AA staple. Again, his determination and dedication saw him through. He never had a relapse, never looked back, and maintained his sobriety for 19 years. I truly believe that the birth of those kids saved his life and gave us the family we so desperately wanted and deserved. My dad was the most doting grandfather imaginable. When Pia was born, he again came to the house every day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the first 6 months. This time, he took Esme to preschool every morning, picked her up in the afternoon, cooked dinner every night, and made sure we were taken care of. Over the years, he volunteered at the girls' school, went to back to school nights, attended every concert, never missed a recital, performance, a game. He manned the barbecue at countless pool parties, made chili for our annual Halloween bash, trick-or-treated with the kids every year, skied with them on our annual ski trip, picked them up from play dates, shuttled them to countless activities, always said yes when I asked him to stay for the weekend so I could leave, and spent his fair share of the time at the local park. The list truly goes on and on and on. I don't know how I got so lucky to have a dad who devoted so much of his time, love, and effort to these equally lucky kids. He simply adored those girls like I've never seen anyone adore their grandkids. He was determined to have a meaningful relationship with them, and he absolutely achieved just that. In the moments where I couldn't parent anymore, when I was beyond my boiling point, he would step in and calm the waters. He'd simply tell me, Michelle, we aren't raising delicate flowers over here. You don't have to get so excited. It's no big deal. These girls are perfect. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Often my sister and I would look at each other in disbelief, wondering where on earth this kind, patient man actually came from. It was a far cry from how he handled turbulent waters with us when we were growing up. It was something out of a fairy tale, our own lovely little fairy tale. He truly followed my lead when it came to connected parenting, moving away from harsh, yelling traditional ways and embracing the respectful manner we chose to parent the kids. He actually did it. He truly was a man of service. He took on the role, especially with AA, with great dedication. He made it his job to be helpful to his fellow AA newcomers and members, taking people to appointments, speaking at meetings, serving as secretary, and helping out wherever he could. He had countless sponsees and made innumerable friendships within the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. They were his support system and what kept him grounded. He would have been 20 years sober next year, a milestone we were all, including him, incredibly proud of. We were so lucky to have him near us those last nearly 20 years. I only wish we had a few more. We weren't quite done yet, Dad, were we? When he was really sick, I feared the end was near, and I thanked him profusely for helping me raise the girls. I told him I would never have been able to do it without him, which was so true. He merely said, "Thank you for letting me, Michelle. We did it, didn't we?" Years ago, my dad planted milkweed in his house, in his LA yard, to attract the monarch butterflies during their migration to and from Mexico. At any given time, you can see handfuls of monarchs flitting gracefully around in his yard. I like to think of my dad as a butterfly. His transformation from charming, party-loving guy into this incredible family man and caretaker who deeply embraced his sobriety and his family. He was emerging from a cocoon late in life, and what a beautiful soul he became. I think of him when I see those butterflies, and I hope you will too. Rest in peace, sweet Papa. So with that, and this tribute to my dad, I'm going to take a break from my podcast. I'm going to take a break from being on social media a lot too. I need to take some time for myself and for my family and to get our lives in order in this new way without him. I so appreciate you being listeners, and I hope you will enjoy the over 400 episodes that we have. And if you haven't gone and listened to the old ones, they really are good. I hope to come back soon, perhaps at the end of summer, and start my podcast again. But for now, I'm saying farewell, and I hope that you have a lovely summer yourself, or if you're on the other side of the hemisphere, winter. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of this Peace and Parenting family. And I will see you all very, very soon.